our speaker today. I use this opportunity to welcome Pastor Sunday.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Akogun, Eshe, Adukwe. Being a Yoruba person, I think it will be proper to be able to say some few words in Yoruba. That's why I started off like that. And I want to use this opportunity to greet all the distinguished guests and visitors that have joined us today. And I just want to say I'm absolutely impressed by your foundation, by this particular Yoruba. There are so many Yoruba movements and groups out there, but this one has really impressed me because I studied the website and I saw that this is exactly what Yoruba people need and what Nigeria needs in general. This is the direction we are supposed to be working in because your Yoruba Koya organization is about leadership and it's about training. Those two words are key, leadership and training. And what everybody in Nigeria knows that the plight of our nation is leadership. But training is the solution to the leadership challenges that we're having both in Nigeria and among our own Yoruba people. Now, before I go ahead, I want to talk about what I derived from Yoruba Koya website. From your website, I read the following. Number one, that Yorubas produce less than 50% of the food they consume. But the truth is, it's much more less than 50%. So, which means, oh, I think somebody needs to put off the microphone over there. So, which means that we Yorubas cannot feed ourselves. Yorubas cannot feed themselves today. So that's a problem. And I saw this from Yoruba Koya website. Yorubas cannot feed themselves, number one. Number two, most of the processed foods that Yorubas eat are also imported. That's another problem, still confirming the fact that we cannot feed ourselves. Yet, we have the capacity to do our own processing. So, this is also from the website that we could actually get ourselves together and be able to produce our own food and process it. Okay? Then it says, finally, that Yorubas have abandoned our food basket, which is the rural area. So Yorubas have left the villages and they have abandoned the rural areas, which is supposed to be the food basket. So we are, your organization is acknowledging the problem that Yorubas have. And the wisdom that I see in this approach is that instead of just pointing accusing fingers at other people, at Nigeria as a whole, Yoruba Koya is looking in and saying, hey, wait. Before we try to deal with the challenges that we have outside, let us start from inside. We ourselves, we have a challenge that we need to resolve first. We cannot feed ourselves. So let's resolve that among ourselves first before we begin to blame Nigeria. You know, it is Yoruba people that says that ti iku ile o ba pani iku ita ole pani or something like that. But my Yoruba, I've been outside of Nigeria for 35 years, so my Yoruba is not brilliant. But I still remember that from my village days, that if the death that is inside the house, domestic death, if domestic death does not kill you, then the death from outside is not harmful to you. So that the threat of death from outside is not harmful if the death from inside doesn't kill you. So the weakness that is inside is what is actually, what can kill you faster, is what we should be more afraid of, our weakness, rather than the threat of death that is coming from outside. Now, another thing that I read from your website says, we Yorubas cannot have a viable Yoruba region, which is within Nigeria, unless we are agriculturally and economically independent. How I wish that all other Yoruba groups and movements that we have right now, especially the people who are campaigning for the Dua Republic will go and study your website and reason it out and, put on their thinking cap and think about what you people are saying here. Because Yoruba, we cannot be viable either as a region or as a republic if we don't solve these key economic issues, especially issues of agriculture and economy in general. Dependency. We need to become economically viable by being independent economically. And one way to do that is through agriculture. That's what we've always had, because we are an agrarian society. We are not yet an industrialized society. So agriculture is our fastest way to come out of economic dependency. And you people recognize that, and that is wonderful. And that's why your focus is powerful. Leadership and training. And this is what all Yoruba people, all Yoruba intelligentsia, and all Yoruba elites, this is what they were supposed to be focusing on. Before we go ahead, especially those people who are saying, okay, let's go ahead and do referendum now, let's go ahead and divide Yoruba. Even the people who say we should restructure Yoruba land, Nigeria, we want to have our own region. Good idea, laudable idea. But if we restructure without having economic independence, if we restructure without going back to agriculture when we cannot feed ourselves, it will still be the same situation where we find ourselves right now in Nigeria. We will go back to that same square one. We will still be in the same place of despondency, of helplessness. We will not be able to help ourselves. So the first focus is that we should, first of all, work on ourselves, make ourselves stronger, make ourselves capable of feeding ourselves, of producing what we need and what we consume. Then when we do restructuring, then we will be fit to be able to be, the kind of republic that we are dreaming of, or the kind of region that we are dreaming of. Because that is what Chief Obafemi Awolowo did. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the first 7 years of his reign, he was reigning as the premier of the Western region, even before the independence of Nigeria. So before independence of Nigeria, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was able to build a very strong foundation, economic foundation, financial foundation, and educational foundation for the Southwest. So by the time we had our independence, then we were able to write on the basis of what he had already done. So now, still on your website, the website says that we, Yorubas, can actually feed the whole of Nigeria, potentially, if we apply our minds and resources to it. So that should be our priority right now. How do we get our people to apply their minds and resources to doing the honors, to doing what really matters? Now, some people think that what matters right now is just go ahead and demonstrate, go ahead and break the country, but what happens after that? So it is very important that Yorubas, in our conversation, we lay more emphasis not on sentiments, but on analysis. We should pay attention to facts and figures, empirical evidences. We should be talking about empirical evidences of where are the facts, where are the statistics that we, as Yoruba people, we are fit to even function in Nigeria, talk less of breaking out. Because once we can solve our issues among Yorubas themselves, once we can solve the issue of leadership and training, we will discover that we will not need to go out of Nigeria again, because we will be so good and we will become the example that other regions will emulate. And that is exactly what was happening when Obafemi Awolowo was there. It was the leading region and others were emulating. So there was no need to come out of Nigeria. It was a good, healthy competition between the regions. But when we don't have anything, when everything has fallen, when all the things when there are no foundations to do that, we should go back to fix that foundation. Like the Bible says that if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? So we might think that we are righteous, we might think that we are good, but if the foundation is not fixed, well, we'll discover that we are helpless. Now, So I like this from the website as well. It says our youth are not encouraged to embrace agriculture as a viable profession. So this tells us now that if we want to fix this problem, we must encourage our youth to embrace agriculture. Then I'm still quoting from your website. It says Yorubas in Nigeria and the diaspora have the human resources and technological know-how to be leaders in almost any field of endeavor. I like that because it has happened to me. When I left my country, Nigeria, and by the way, when I was in Nigeria, I never visited any part of Nigeria before I left. I was living in Ijebu-Ode. There is a village there called, near Ijebu-Ode, called Idomila. Idomila, Mushin, and Ijebu Mushin, and Ilese, Ikoto, Okiowa. Those areas, that's where I grew up. Actually, where the conference is happening now, that's where I grew up. Ishonyi, an area. So that whole area is where I grew up. So, but I never visited the north, I never visited the east, I never visited the south. So I didn't even see any part of Nigeria. I just left from my, village, we could say, to Lagos, and from Lagos to Europe. And that was 35 years ago. I was 19 years old. Now, I did so well in the university, in the school SAT in Nigeria. I had another admission to University of Ife, but scholarship was better, so I traveled abroad. But even while I was about to leave the shores of Nigeria, I was always concerned, hey, my God, how will I do? Okay, it's clear now that in my school I did well, in my country I did well, but I know that this country that I'm going, this Europe that I'm going to be competing with white people, and white people are going to be my schoolmates. So will I be able, so it was a concern for me as a young Yoruba boy growing up without any illumination, without any enlightenment. I was concerned that will I be able to cope? Will I be able to do well as a black person, as a Nigerian? And so I was really concerned about that. But this statement that I'm seeing here, that Yorubas in diaspora have the resources, and we need to put this in our people more, that we have the resources, but also we shouldn't overemphasize our significance, because a lot of people who are shouting right now that Yorubas can do everything. We can. I said, show me your results. What have you done? What are people who are saying we should break away? We have this to do this. Let's make a list of all the technological know-hows that we say Yorubas can bring. Let's make a list of all the human resources that we say Yorubas have. And even these people in diaspora, are they willing and are they ready to come back to Nigeria and build Yoruba land? That's another question altogether. But what I'm saying is that it's a good thing that we have self-confidence that we can make it. So in my own case, when I came to Europe, in my university, we had 16,000 students, and they are from 99 countries. And 99 countries, 16,000 students, and I, being a Yoruba and a Nigerian person, I was able to excel and become the best student in that university. Then I finished, and then I started, I was working as a journalist. Then I had a calling to move from journalism into spiritual matters. So I became a pastor. And this is also another area that I was not sure. Okay, I've done well in the university as a student, but will white men, will white women, will white people go and listen to me? Will they go and listen to, because all the churches that they used to have in Europe those days, you just see a Yoruba man pastoring Yoruba or Nigerian church, or Ghanaian church, or Kenyan church, Ugandan church. But only black people go to black people. That's what I'm saying. You don't see a black person leading white people. So I was thinking, it doesn't make sense. How could I, as a black person, come to Europe in a country where everybody is white, and then I'm only doing small 20 people or 100 people for black people like myself? So I was determined that no, if I'm really equal in God's eyes, like he said he created all of us equal, if we are really as good as Europeans, I must be able to convince the Europeans to follow me as well. And by the grace of God, that is what God has helped me to do. We were able to build a church of over 100,000 people, where all of them, 99%, are white people, and in 50 countries. And so this now has become, is an example of what a black man can do and what even a Yoruba person can do. And then we have a lot of Yorubas and Nigerians all over the world attaining and achieving different laurels all over the world. Now, the question is, do we have the database of these people? What do they offer? What can they bring to the table? So all these things must be considered before we could go ahead to say that we are Yorubas and we are ready to do this and that. We must make our calculations very well. Like Jesus said, who wants to go to a war without sitting down first? So when I go on social media and I see Yoruba people campaigning that we must have the Republic, Oduduwa Republic now, we must break away right now, secession. I said they are not, it's like they've not read the Bible very well, because Jesus said the first thing you want to do when you want to go on a war is not to go and be shouting and be screaming and be telling people that what you want to do. What you want to start by doing is go to your war room or to your strategy room, go and sit down. That's what the Bible says. Go and sit down. Make your calculations first. Build your strategy. Put your tactics in place. Have your figures, have your statistics, have your know-how, have all the information. You make your thorough preparation first. Don't just go ahead and be shouting and be screaming. Make sure that, and this is where one of the things that we could learn from our sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, because he was a man like that, a man of thorough discipline. Reading his works just blows my mind, because the man was thorough. We all need to become like him and try to emulate some of his great features. And before we could, really go forward, I want to show you one of the quotations, one of the quotations of Chief Obafemi Awolowo here. And he understands what we are going through. And I'm sure he faced the same challenge when he was there as a leader, as in Nigeria. He faced the same challenge that we are facing today. But he had a different solution. He didn't pull Yorubas out of Nigeria. No, even when the Igbos wanted him to do that, he said no. He said Yorubas are going to stay as long as we are able to, bring influence the Yoruba people, influence the whole of Nigeria. We are going to stay. So this is what Chief Obafemi Awolowo says. He says, a man, I'm showing it instead of myself, I'm showing the quotation so you could see. A man whose personality is fully developed never fears anything. For me, what I'm hearing from that is that as Yoruba people, our focus, especially Yoruba Koya, I like your agenda, which is leadership and training, is that all Yoruba leaders, we must focus on training people in leadership. He said, a man whose personality is fully developed never fears. We should take our time to develop our Yoruba people, not just the leaders, as many Yoruba youth as possible. If we will pay attention to developing them, then Yorubas will not need to fear anything. We need to pay attention to personality development. So that's number one, what I see from what Obafemi Awolowo is saying here. Then he says, a man whose personality is fully developed never fears anything. He cringes not and never feels inferior to anyone. We don't need to feel inferior, but the thing that makes us not to feel inferior is not the amount of shout that we have. It's not the amount of, curses that we are releasing, or the amount of how loud we can speak, or how, we can abuse and accuse other people. No. What gives us that confidence is the fact that we have been able to develop the person. And that is why Chief Obafemi Awolowo paid attention to education. But what he's talking about here is not just education. He could have used the word education. It means more than education. He's talking about development, the human capacity development of every Yoruba person. If we will pay attention and form groups and movements to develop every Yoruba person from primary school to university level, not just develop them in profession, like this one became a lawyer, this one became a medical doctor, this one. No. Not just to give them knowledge of education, but to develop their personality into people who know who they are. This, if we would develop, if we will have a movement for market women and for bricklayers and for mechanics and for all different sets and segments of people in Yoruba land, and we will form a movement like this, a mobilization movement. This is similar to what Obafemi Awolowo did when he was alive. I remember when I was growing up, even though I was born after his reign, but you could see a radio. They had a radio in every home. Even in my own little village, they had radio station, radio in every house, where they are giving information to everybody. Was listening to radio because he understood the importance of empowerment. He understood the importance of mindset emancipation. But after he left, we don't have that mindset emancipation anymore. We don't have that, that personality development as such. But he understood it, and that is what we have to go back to. We have to mobilize every segment of Yoruba nation and Nigeria as a whole and begin to change their value system and begin to mobilize them and change the mindset of our people. Until we change the mindset of our people, nothing will change. It doesn't matter how much we shout. It doesn't matter how much we make noise. It doesn't matter how much natural resources we say we have. If we don't change the mindset of our people, nothing will change. Now, so I will keep on reading the quotation of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He says, a man whose personality is fully developed never fears anything, he cringes not, and never feels inferior to anyone. You see, that is one of the reasons why Obafemi Awolowo didn't campaign for Yoruba to leave Nigeria. Because Yorubas, even though a lot of injustices were addressed against him, he was not allowed to rule Nigeria and all that, but he was so confident. And he was so confident in his people that we are not inferior to anybody. So why should we run away? We are not the ones to run away. Let other people run away, but not we. Yorubas have contributed so much to Nigerian Union. Yorubas have laid the foundation of Nigeria. So we are not the ones to run away. You run away, but we are here to stay. This is our own Nigeria. This is our own Yoruba land. This is our own country. We are not inferior. And if Obasanjo, what gives us that confidence, according to Chief Awolowo, is not just our noise. It's not just that we are bold. It's not our sham or witchcraft. It is because of the development of the person, development of our people, the enlightenment of our people, the changed mindset, illumination of our people. Now, he says that kind of person that is developed, his breadth of mind enables him to exercise his freedom in such a manner. We Yoruba people, when our mind is developed, when our personality is developed, we exercise our freedom in such a manner as not to endanger the interests and freedom of others. And so when people are now shouting about Oduduwa Republic, I say, do they really read Awolowo's books and his materials at all? We have to follow his philosophy. This man was great. He was a philosopher. We have to get his philosophy and follow them. So what he is saying is that once you are free, once you are developed, even though you might have some advantages over other people, but you don't flaunt that. You don't put that in front. You don't want to endanger anybody's interest. So there are other people. You understand that you are living in the country where there are other nations and other nationalities also. So you don't want to endanger their interests or their freedom. You don't want to disturb them anyhow. Because, he says, he is a citizen of the world. So if Obafemi Awolowo is calling everybody a citizen of the world who is truly developed, because someone who is truly developed is not looking for secession. He's a citizen of the world. Will he secede himself from the whole world? No, he's developed enough to know that, I am one with my neighbor. I am one with the BPO people. I am one with the Hausa people. I am one with the Fulani people, with Igbos. We are one. We are citizens of the world, of one nation and one world. We are citizens of the world. Free from narrow prejudices. So he's talking about narrow prejudices. Our culture is a culture of prejudice. We have prejudices about Hausas, we have prejudices, and they have about us too. But a man that is truly developed not educated. He's not talking about someone, because you could be educated, you could have PhD, doctor, and still have prejudices because you are not developed. But here, Obafemi is talking about someone who is truly developed, mentally developed, will not have prejudices. He is what he is because the three main constituents of his entity, his body, his brain, and mind, are fully developed. You see, it's about development. And this is what we need to give to Yoruba people. If we could empower, enlighten, reorient our Yoruba people, this is the biggest gift, to make sure that they are developed. They are not just educated by getting knowledge in school, but they are developed as humanity, as humans. Then he puts the word in what do you call it? Latin here. Latin that says mens sana in corpore sano. And what that means is that a healthy soul or a healthy spirit lives in a healthy body. So that's what it is. Some man that is totally and comprehensively developed. Now, let me go to the core of my message for you people today. And which is that a country is not great, or neither is a country developed by, mineral resources or anything like that. So I'm talking about nations are great by their values. It is the values of a people that makes that nation great. If we could put great values in our people, those our people will go ahead and build a great nation for us. There is a saying that I normally use. I tell my people, the people that I train here in this country and all over the world, I always tell them that nations are great not because of their values, not because of the virtue of their wealth. Nations are great not by the virtue of their wealth. That's important. Nations are great not by the virtue of their wealth, but by the virtue by the wealth of their values or of their virtue. So it is not by the virtue of wealth, but mineral resources, even material resources, financial resources, that makes a nation great. What makes a nation great is the wealth of their values. It is countries and nations and peoples that are wealthy in values that build great nations. So nations are great by their values. It is the values that are in people that makes them great. But it is not, it is not the blood, the DNA. We are Yorubas. The fact that we are Yorubas doesn't mean anything. The fact that you are Yorubas doesn't automatically mean that we are going to be great. No. Nations are great not by the virtue of their wealth, but by the wealth of their virtues. By the wealth of their virtues. Nations are not great by the virtue of their wealth, or by the virtue of their blood, or by the virtue of their DNA. Nations are not great by the fact that we are Yorubas, so we are going to be great. No. What will make any nation, look at America, for example. If you get to America or England or Germany or anywhere, or Russia, look for the values of the people, for the virtues. You can make a list of the values that make those countries great, or the virtues. It is the virtues that has been created, impacted, embedded by the people that makes them to be able to build great nations. It's not even their economic statistic and things like that. It is the content of their character that builds great nation. It is only people that are great already in their intent, in their content, in their wealth, in their virtues, in their value system, that will be able to build great nation. So it is only great people that build great nations. But great people is not because my father was this, my that. No, it's the content of character that determines how great a person is. It's not because of anything else. Now, there is a saying in Yoruba language also that says, whenever siblings go into a private discussion and come out laughing, that they have succeeded in deceiving themselves. But if they come out frowning, that it means that some truths have been spoken. And my grandmother used to always tell us about that when we were growing up. And so in this kind of conversation, it is very important that we Yorubas speak the truth to ourselves first before facing Nigeria. Leave Nigeria alone meanwhile. Nigeria will deal with Nigeria, but let's deal with ourselves. Well, let's fortify ourselves with knowledge and understanding and wisdom. Because people who are saying that, okay, we are ready to move away from Nigeria to form Oduduwa Republic, I said they should read the works of Wole Soyinka and his interview that he gave when he called his generation a wasted generation. I'm sure all of us have heard of that. That Wole Soyinka called himself a wasted, his generation as a wasted generation. And then people were asking him the question, why do you call yourself, your generation a wasted generation? He said, because when he was in England, before Nigeria became independent, and when Nigeria became independent, he was still in England. He said he and many other young Nigerian professionals, they were running to leave England. Not running to England like people are doing today. They were running from England, from France, I had a brother also, he was running from France, and they were all coming to Nigeria. Why? They said they had a dream of building a great country in Nigeria that in a matter of maybe 10 years, 20 years, will be able to compete with England. And he even said, we believe that we are going to do better than England. We are going to be competing with America. He said that was their dream. He said, but as things went, and he was already over 70 when he made this statement, he said, I'm already 70 years old, over 70. And he said, nothing has changed. The country we took from England, it was even much better than what we have today. We have collapsed the country. The country is much worse than when we were under British rules. So that's why he said the East is a wasted generation. And I'm telling the people who are campaigning for the Oduduwa Republic right now that if we don't sit down and make our own calculations very well, like Jesus said, sit down, if you want to build a house, sit down. Don't go and be building immediately. Sit down. Make your calculations. If we don't do that, we will discover that the task of building a nation from scratch is not an easy task. And we might end up leaving Nigeria, and by the time we leave Nigeria, we will discover that things are much worse in our Oduduwa Republic than even in Nigeria. Why? Because just like I read what Yoruba Koya put in their website, that we cannot even feed ourselves. So what kind of nation are you talking about that cannot even feed ourselves? Nigeria, at least when they were doing the independence, Nigeria was able to feed herself. But we are not even in the position to feed ourselves right now. All our states, apart from, even including Lagos, every one of them, they are going to Abuja to get federal allocation. Yes, thank God that Lagos is an Ogun state. They are having internally generated revenue now that is already a bit higher than what they are getting in Abuja. But without the allocation from Abuja, they still cannot survive. So can you imagine us now forming an Oduduwa Republic? What will happen to our economy? We cannot. Where will we be going to? We will be going to England to go and get monthly allocation, or to America, who will now be giving out the monthly allocation again. So that's why we have to start by going back to the basics, which is what Yoruba Koya is fighting for. Let's go back to agriculture. Let's go back to changing the mindset of our people. Let's go back to confronting our youth and reorientating them. Let's go back to challenge them and change the content of their character. Because what is the content of character of the average Yoruba youth today? Go to the universities. It is Yahoo they are doing. 419. They are all by the computer, deceiving people. Yorubas have lost the most important thing that makes us Yoruba. And what is that? It is the Omoluabi qualities. And those are the things I was talking about when I say nations are not great by the virtue of their wealth, but by the wealth of their virtues. That, nations are not great by the virtue of their wealth, but by the wealth of their virtues. This is what Yorubas used to have. That's why our fathers call themselves Omoluabi. It is the biggest philosophy even Africans could embrace. We could sell this philosophy to the whole world, to all the black race. We could become the glory of the black race through Omoluabi, not just because we are DNA Yoruba. No. It is the virtues of Omoluabi that will make us to be superior to all other peoples. But those values of Omoluabi, they are lost right now. They are lost because right now our children don't even know what Omoluabi means anymore. But when we were growing up, when I was growing up, my mother, my grandmother, my neighbors, everybody in the village, in the neighboring village, everywhere I go, they will say, Magbagbe ile ti o some they would always say, don't forget the house that you come from. Don't forget the son of who you are. Don't forget the house you come from. Don't ever forget that. And that was, everybody was always cautious of that. Oh, okay, I don't want to spoil my father's name. I don't want to spoil the name of my relatives or my. It's about name, integrity. So if we will be able to restore the virtues of Omoluabi, and this is not difficult to do. Let's start a campaign in every primary school. Let's start a campaign in every university. Let's start a campaign in every segment of the society, in all strata of the society, and reintroduce. Let's make a list of what goes into being an Omoluabi. What are the qualities of Omoluabi? Let's start a subject in primary school, secondary school. Every school must embrace that. It must be every day, every family to embrace that. If we are able to build these virtues into our people, like hard work, diligence, integrity, all these qualities of character. If we are able to put content of character into our people, we will now become the real Yorubas. It should be the content of character of Omoluabi that makes us say we are Yorubas. Not just because my father was a Yoruba or my mother Yoruba or because I was born in the Southwest. No, let us be defined by the content of our character rather than just by lozong. I mean by slogans. So nations, what makes nations great is their virtues. Go to France. They have a set of values that make them French. You see them everywhere, you know they are French. English people, they have a set of virtues that make them English people. That's why when you go to England, even if you are from India or you are from Korea, everybody is a melting pot. Go to London, it's a melting pot. You even have other Indians or Africans, minority, more than English people in London now. But the virtues has been distributed to all of them. All of them are now living and following the rules and the virtues and the values of the Englishman. So that is why it's no more a problem. How can you go to London and say, in London, I only want to live with Yoruba people, or I don't want Igbos in London, or I don't want Indians, or I don't want Koreans. I mean, nobody talks like that anymore. That is primitive thinking. Everybody now is saying, America, you just go to America and say that, okay, I only want to be with my own people. No, forget about it. We already have a great nation like that in Yoruba land, where all these nations are there, but we must have a common set of values or system of values for all Nigerians, not just for Yorubas, but for all Nigerians. But I think if Yorubas could get and embrace these Omoluabi virtues, we will be able to spread it to all of Nigeria. All of the other tribes in Nigeria will be able to copy these things and be able to, want to become like Omoluabis as well. And we could even package this concept of Omoluabi and take it to diaspora. Not just to Nigerians in diaspora, but even to the diasporas that have left a long time ago. The Caribbeans and Black America and all that. So our people must be defined not by our material wealth or where we are coming from, but by their inner content and inner values. And that Omoluabi system, I think we have to revisit it. Because flag, to just have Oduduwa flag will not make any difference. Map, we already have map. Name, land, we are already living in our land now. But what have we done with it? But it is the quality, the quantity, the quality and the content of character that will make us to be able to build a great nation, that will be able to make us to know what to do with the land and to be able to bring the know-how that is needed. Because geography doesn't determine a nation's wealth. Look at Congo. It's the richest country in the world in terms of raw materials. But is one of the poorest people in the world as well. Even Nigeria also has proved to us that we can have flag, we can have map, we can have name, we can have geography, but that will not do us any good if we don't change the values, the character, the content of character of our people. Listen, I think most of you will know Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, shallow men believe in luck, but strong men believe in cause and effect. But I want to say that in a different way, in my own words, that weak nations believe in supernatural superstitions, luck. Weak nations believe in luck, miracles, superstitions. While strong nations believe in standards, they believe in cause, they believe in effects. So strong nations are nations who believe in principles and systems. They believe in cause and effect, and that's why they are strong. Awolowo. And Awolowo got this right. When there is another citation of Awolowo that I want us to revisit. It's about the content of character that we have. And this is what Awolowo said. Man is not born to grope in the face of adverse environmental circumstances and conditions. He is ordained and endowed with the capacity to comprehend the universe. That is talking about comprehension. That's talking about systems. That's talking about cause and effect right there. That's talking about real education. Man is supposed to conquer his immediate surroundings and rule the world. This is what we are supposed to be teaching our people. I don't know if they have Obafemi Awolowo's books as textbooks in our primaries. We have to adopt his books to fit our primary schools. We have to adopt his books and his philosophy to fit in our secondary schools. We have to adopt this man's philosophy in our universities as subjects. These are the things we should be lobbying for in the federal government of Nigeria, so that things like this, values like this that could develop our people. We don't just teach our people mathematics, chemistry, but we have to build their content as well. So what Awolowo is saying, man is not born to grope in the face of adverse environmental circumstances and conditions. He is ordained and endowed with the capacity to comprehend the universe, conquer its immediate surroundings, and rule the world. But first, you see, we can conquer the world, we can become great as Yoruba people, but what must we start with? First, you must understand the world, understanding, mindset, and all its phenomena. That is all its laws, all its principles. He must do so systematically and scientifically. Beautiful mind. This man was having beautiful brain, beautiful mind. And this is what we have to go back to. But what I am seeing that is prevalent right now among the Yoruba people is emotions. Emotions, sentiments, emotion. I don't know. Emotions, sentiments, and things that are not profitable. We need systems. We need scientific methods. We need, principles. We need system of values. These are the things we should be introducing to our people. These are the things we should be going back to Yoruba people to talk about. Not just to be bringing, to be emphasizing negative things that will only destroy them. Yes, we know Nigeria has problems. Yes, we have the Fulani herdsmen killing and raping our people. Yes, we have the, disparity in financial distribution. Yes, we have all those people. But if we are only going to emphasize the negatives, we will turn our people to animals. Because that way we are playing on their reflexes. If we are going to be telling them, oh, you see, this one is bad, they rape you, they do that. If we don't redirect them to values, they are going to be responding from their emotions. They are going to become like wild animals. They are going to want to destroy everything. And that is what we are seeing with our youth today. The youth of Nigeria who are now saying, okay, it's secession, we are breaking away, Oduduwa Republic. No, it's because they don't have anything to fall back on. They don't have the strong values of Awolowo to fall back on. They don't have the set of system of values or virtues, the Omoluabi qualities that is supposed to tell them, okay, wait, let's sit down. Let's make calculations. Let's see what we need to fix first. Let's see what we need to put in place. We must teach our people the real essence of education as well. That because the kind of education we're having in Nigeria today is horrible. And that is what is giving back to all these people. The people who are just depending on sentiments and emotions. And that is what we also got from our colonial masters. It is also the problem of our colonial masters, because the colonial masters didn't give us the real education. I've been living in Europe for 35 years. I have movements and churches in America, in England, in the Scandinavian countries, in Japan, in all over the world. And like you've heard, I had the privilege to speak to American congressmen. I've spoken in the Congress, I've spoken in the Senate, I've spoken in Japanese Senate as well, Scandinavian Senate, Norwegian Senate. And, so I know what the problem is in that sense. I've been exposed to the Western world, and I've been exposed to how the system works. Look, in Nigeria, the kind of education that was given to us by the British is horrible. And that is one of the reasons why we're having this problem we're having. What they gave to us is grammar school. Grammar. If you look at that concept of grammar, the whole idea of it is that the colonizers gave education they gave us textbooks and the kind of educational system that is only supposed to help our people to comprehend their grammar. It's all about grammar school. They have grammar schools also in England, but they are very few. The most popular schools they have in England are always technical based, or what's this word I'm looking for? Let's say skills based schools. They are always schools that are based on skills. So an average white person is not going to sit in the office and be drinking tea only. An average engineer, white engineer, is on the field working with his hand. Even you don't need to be an engineer. An average person can fix everything. In America, in England, most people can do things with their hands. They can work with their hands. But what they gave us is grammar school, in the sense that just be able to understand grammar so that you'll be able to talk with the colonial masters, so that we'll be able to comprehend what the masters want from us, and we'll be able to, we'll be able to interact with them. We'll be able to communicate with them. It's based on literacy. So the problem of grammar school is that it's based on literacy, the system. Literacy is that you are not illiterate. So that's what we base, up to now, that's what we still base our education on. So in Nigeria, we are talking about literacy. You are illiterate or you are not literate. You are literate or you are illiterate. Nobody talks about that anymore. That is the kind of system we had. But what we should be talking about is a system that empowers people to know how to do things, how to do things with their hands, how to have skills to resolve issues. So it is not so that school system that we have is a problem for us. It's about grammar. So an average Nigerian or a black man will be coming to speak big grammar. And the bigger his grammar is you begin to respect him. Wow, this one has gone to school. No, but he doesn't know how to fix anything. So education should be redefined to our people. That the whole essence of education is to be able to solve problems. To be able to solve problems on a daily basis. So, and to be able to have skills. We shouldn't be laughing at technical educations. Go to America. Less people in America, percentage-wise, go to university. Less people than Nigerian people. They don't rush to go to university. What do they want to? Where do they go to? They go to skill schools. What's the word I'm looking for? They go to they go to schools where they could get not tertiary institution, what they call the technical ones. They go to schools where they could get skills. So if you go to Canada also, they go to schools where the same thing in England also. Most of their education is based on schools where people can get skills, not where they should just go and speak grammar. They are not interested in speaking grammar. You see, because this is what colonial education has done for us. It's based on brainwashing us to be able to just be literate. But being literate enough is not going to help us. We need skills. And real education is supposed to be composing of two things. Real education. This is in how the Western world has built their education. Real education is based on two things in the West: critical thinking and scholarship. Critical thinking and scholarship. And we need to re-emphasize and, reevaluate that in our own, climate as well, in our own climate. We need to change from grammar school to critical thinking. But our whole culture is against critical thinking. But in England, America, if you have children going to school there, from primary school, secondary school, they already train their children critical thinking. Question everything. Critical thinking is based on the fact that intellectualism starts with asking questions. So no education, you are not educated if you don't ask questions in the West. The ability to question everything, the ability to ask questions is what education is all about. And because questions is the mother of innovation. It is called intellectual curiosity. It is this intellectual curiosity that we must begin to bring back to our Yoruba people and to Nigerian people as well. From primary school to university. That's why we are having a lot of graduates who are looking for jobs. If you cannot, your education cannot be based on critical thinking and then you are looking for job. Because you'll be asking questions, you would have gotten so many answers, you don't need to go look for job, you create jobs. That is the reason why education in America or in Western Europe is much better than education in Nigeria, in Africa. The second part of education, what it means, education has two wings. One wing is critical thinking and the other one is scholarship. What is scholarship? The basis of scholarship means that life is based on laws. Life is based on principles of cause and effect. So if you go to school and you finish PhD and you don't know that life is based on cause and effect, that life is based on laws, then you are not educated. So those things, but in our own climate, our people don't want to believe that life is based on cause and effect. And because of that, that's why we have all these churches all over the place. I'm a pastor, but I'm against what is happening in Nigeria right now. Every street is full of churches. And we are closing down factories, we are closing down industries, and we are starting churches. Because we don't think that life is based on cause and effect, on principles. We think that life is based on God, grace, or God, some celestial powers, some myth, some mythical thinking, or some superstition. So as long as our people will be thinking that life is based on superstition, we will never be able to build a great country. So these are the content of character. These are the things that form the great nation, great people that build great nation. We need to go back to the basics and change the mindset and the content of our people to be able to dish and forget about superstition and replace it with principle thinking, principle worldview, looking at the world from the principle of cause and effect. And then we need to change their mindset and their content from thinking that life is don't ask questions to no, intellectual curiosity. All these things are the things we need to build into our Yoruba and Nigerian people. If we change their mindset and the way they think, then we'll be able to have a new country. Then we'll be able to have people who have values, whose lives is based on values. And then they will be able to use these values to build great nations. Only countries that have people with strong values, those people now come and build great nations. So for example, right now, I will not be part of doing the referendum that Yoruba should try to go out or do referendum. Forget referendum first. Let's do enlightenment first. Let's do reorientation first. Let's change the value system of our people first. Okay, they will say Nigeria will not allow us to do it because Nigeria is controlling the educational system and we cannot change the Ministry of Education. Okay, good. Let's start, let's leave Nigeria alone. Let's start with our own Yoruba people by doing NGOs. Let's start NGOs, and these NGOs we'll have these NGOs in every village, in every town, in every school. just like non-governmental organization that is going to be spreading values and that's going to be preaching and talking about the content of character, and that's going to bring up the virtues of Omoluabi, and that's going to make our people to have reorientation from quick fix, money mindset that we have today, money ritual, money this, church. No, that's going to remove all those things and bring understanding of, because we need values that bring about civilization and development. There are values that are responsible for growth. There are values that are responsible for civilization. There are concrete laws that are responsible for development. But there is no system of putting those things into our people in Nigeria. That is our greatest problem. We must build those values, make a list of them, and then build a system around it to make sure that every wife, every husband, every mother, every father imbibes all these values in them. Once we have imbibed all these values, because those things don't come from school. Our school system right now don't give us values like this. We must do it on our own or set up a whole system differently. And our media don't do that too. We need to involve our media to help us. We need to involve the educational system. We need to involve the churches and the priests and the mosque people to help bring values, because nations are not great by the virtue of their wealth or their DNA or of their nationality. No, they are great by the wealth of the values that they have in them. And that's all I have to say for today. If you'll be having some questions, I'll be very open to answer those questions.
Thank you very good. We are clapping here. Immediately you started, and body is nodding all the way. Thank you very much, Pastor Dr. Sunday Adelaja. And thank you very much. I have taken down quite a lot of notes, and our reporters here have also taken most of the notes and the advice you have given us. I can see that if we want to do it, we will announce it as our patron and as our mentor along this way. I think we will get back to you formally on that. Pastor, somebody is asking me here whether you have a church in Nigeria.
No, I don't have church in Nigeria, and it is intentional. It is intentional why I don't have church in Nigeria. The reason is that I personally think that too many proliferation of churches all over the place is one of our problems and one of our tragedies. So I don't want to add to that tragedy and to that problem. Let us help those.
I think I can see one hand. Tell me, I hear it. Can you just speak? Conclude yourself. Conclude yourself. Yes. You have the floor, Kevin. I hear it.
You need to press the microphone, unmute the microphone. Press the microphone. Your own microphone.
Hello?
Yes, good. We hear you now. It has gone off again. You press it 2 times. You have to press it 1 time and unmute yourself. No, not the video. It's the microphone. The microphone. There is a picture of photograph of microphone there.
Okay, can we take Balogun Israel?
Okay, Israel Balogun. Okay, somebody else can speak.
Hello?
Yes, please. Go ahead and talk.
All right. Go ahead. Fire on.
Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, I want you, I don't know, maybe you are visiting Nigeria. Also, I want you to even come to Nigeria and see what is on ground, sir.
Okay.
To assist.
Okay. I came near Nigeria, yes, January. I came to see things. I came incognito to see things. So I have an idea of what's going on in Nigeria, but I don't want to come publicly yet. I don't want to come publicly because there are a lot of people who don't understand my position. You know, for example, I had a campaign on Facebook against what Nigerian churches and pastors are doing to our people. I think it's oppression I think they are as bad as the politicians. So I had a campaign about that. And the reason why I did that, because I'm a pastor. But I'm a pastor in Europe with 99% white people. For 99% of 100,000 people to follow a black man, there is something that I know. And I know that that's why church is not helping in Nigeria. So, and I said, and that's why I decided to address my fellow clergymen first. But because of that, I got a lot of hatred. And a lot of people are looking for my head. So that's why I'm not ready to come to Nigeria publicly right now. Even this one now that I'm doing, and I'm saying, Yorubas, please don't be in a hurry to leave Nigeria. Let's fix ourselves first. There are a lot of Yorubas who are writing me. I get hundreds of messages every day. They say, dare not come to Nigeria. We will show you. We will kill you. We'll do this. So I want to get my things right. I want to be systematic. I want to be very calculative before I come to Nigeria. But I want to move to Nigeria for good. I want to leave Europe. I've lived in Europe for too long, 35 years. I want to come to Nigeria. But before I come like that, I must make sure that some things are put in place.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Adelaja, mo appreciate yín gan. In fact, mi mọ bínú mi ṣe dùn tó.
Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run. Ibo lẹ base sí? Ibo lẹ ti ń sọ̀rọ̀?
London ni mo wà.
Okay.
Torí èmi gan gba tá bẹ̀rẹ̀ Oòduà yìí. Mo ní ṣé tá bá dá country wa sílẹ̀, àwọn ọ̀wà rádaràda táwọn èèyàn ti ń wù ṣé wọn ò ní bà wá jẹ́ báyìí.
Yes.
Tó ti yé yín, a ní láti kọ́kọ́ check ara wa ká kọ́kọ́ padà sí wà ọmọlúàbí yẹn ná. Ká tó ní value as a good nation. So value yẹn tí bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ ti create náà tó yẹ pé wọ́n fi ń pè wá lọ́mọlúàbí pé inú ilé wa wọ́n á ní rántí ọmọ ẹni tí wọ́n ṣe. Tó yẹ pé níbi àtàbádé ànífẹ́ borúkọ wa jẹ́. Tẹ́nìkan bá ti lọ sẹ́wọ̀n rí ànífẹ́ gbọ́rọ̀ nínú ilé yẹn tí ẹ̀nífẹ́ lọ́kọ́ ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ rárá pé ilé ẹlẹ́wọ̀n ni wọ́n. So àwọn orúkọ rere tá a níyẹn ká kọ́kọ́ tá bá build ẹ̀ ká lè build a very strong nation. Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Inú mi so dùn gan. I'm so happy about what you have just said and I'm ready to be following you up. Gbogbo nǹkan tá bá ní láti ṣe mi gan, mo ready láti lọ sí local government mi láti lọ bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìwà ọmọlúàbí ní gbogbo schools tí gbogbo ọ̀nà bá ṣí dáadáa. I'm ready to volunteer myself.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ ràn wá lọ́wọ́.
I have written, Mrs. Ayeni, I've written a lot about this on my Facebook page. I write articles on it every day.
Okay. Àmọ́ mi check it because èmi ò sí lórí Facebook, but my husband is.
Yes. So I have a lot of materials on that. And on YouTube also. I have a lot of material on my...
Can I just identify Adelaja? Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, thank you, sir. My name is Adelaja.
Yes, please. We are hearing you.
Canada. Now, my problem is that I think all our problem has to do with leadership. I have taken my time. Can you hear me, please?
Very well.
Okay, I have taken my time to see what is happening in Nigeria. We are talking about Omoluabi attitude. Someone like me, I was trained as Omoluabi by my parents and my teacher.
Yes.
And everything about Omoluabi changed in 1999 after democracy took over. That was when politicians began to lure people with money. Back then, whatsoever we have, if it is Gary money, afternoon and night, we are okay with it. Baby. We are looking at future.
Yes.
But as at now, the future in Nigeria is not possible. My mother is in Nigeria. She's a teacher. If I tell you what the government is doing, they can't even feed themselves. Meanwhile, you will see politicians using expensive stuffs, riding on expensive, unimaginable cars, living in expensive houses and this whole thing. Now, I have seen countries that there are just few people who has the willingness to make the country works, and they took over leadership, and through laws, human beings are not easy to control, but with laws and law enforcement and genuinity. Now, when they arrest a Yoruba, they send him to jail. When they arrest an Hausa or Fulani, they say he should go scot free. We are looking for jobs. They pick a Fulani that do not go to school, and they abandon me with BSc. I think this is where the whole thing started.
Adeolua, your question. Your question.
I got.
So my question is that don't you think true leadership is what we need rather than individual Omoluabi something? We need true leadership, which you cannot get together as a nation, except we go out, because
Adeolua, I understand you very well. Let me answer your question, because there are many people who want to ask. So now, Adeolua, beautiful. I've been to Canada many times. I have disciples in Canada, white people. White people are following me in Canada, white disciples. I have church ministry there. But what you said is that the problem in Nigeria is leadership. It's not Omoluabi. But let me show you. Can you see I'm holding a cup right now? This cup that I'm holding, let's imagine that it is full of black ink. The whole thing is full of blank ink or black ink, dark. And if I put inside this ink, I put white balls. Let's say I put 20 white balls. But they are black inks, so the blank ink is, everything is full of blank ink for the brim. If I begin to take those balls out, what color will each of the white something be? Would they all be black, or they will still remain white? Black. Definitely they will be black. Yes, you are right. What I'm saying that pot that I'm holding, this cup that I'm holding right here, the volume, is Nigeria. And the atmosphere, the environment, which plays the most important role in people's life, is full of black. It is lack of values, lack of Omoluabi. So, and when there are no values, the opposite of the thing you are going to have is what you are describing, vices. That when the politicians came, they brought the vices. So let's say the whole country is full of people, and the balls that I'm talking about are people, individuals like me. If we are living in an atmosphere that everything is full of vices, black, the whole country is black, their mindset is black, their thinking system is black, how will you get one person from that cup that will be having white brain? It's impossible. The atmosphere itself will corrupt them, make them evil. Maybe only by mistake, maybe some part of them is not staying, but they have to be washed and their mindset have to be totally changed. The atmosphere of things in Nigeria now is lack of values, lack of Omoluabi, because the leaders, you said leadership is the problem. Where will you get the leader from? We will not go and import leader from Cameroon or from England or from, but we have to get leaders from the same Nigeria. So the only answer is this: we have to change the content of that cup. Instead of black ink, we have to change it to white ink, so that it doesn't matter whoever you pick from whichever ball you pick, everything will be white. That is the difference between Western countries, including Canada, England. You can put anybody as the president in those countries, and they will still do well. Why? Because their mindset, their values have been transformed. We need to transform the values of Nigerians through, Omoluabi principles. Then it will not matter whoever we pick. We will not need revolutionary. We will not need one great giant, one warrior. We will not need any warrior. Anybody will pick with the right mindset, with the Omoluabi culture, will be able to function.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What you have just added down is the parable of black
ink, black ink.
Black coffee in white cup.
Yes.
And that is synonymous to change your content. Thank you very much.
I want to pontificate three points that Sunday Adelaja made. 80% of the land in South Africa is owned and controlled by the 4 million minority white people that are in South Africa. So this means the economy of South Africa is in the hands of the white South Africans. While the blacks control South Africa politically, they are the face of South Africa, they are in the government, they are in the police, the ministers and everything. But the economy, I'm talking about the real estate, I'm talking about all the buildings, is in the hands of the white South Africans. So now, We need, DSA made a very strong point about sociocultural revolution where we need to change the mindset of the people. He also added a point that we need to produce our own food. Me, as I'm speaking to you today, I have marks of Fulani attack on my legs. I farm in Nasarawa State in Tunga, Awe local government. If any person knows Nasarawa State, you will know what I'm talking about. My father died with a mark of knife like this in his face because we fought groups of Fulani. In the evening, they came in. My father just did. He said, look, get ready. We're going back to the farm. I said, why? He said he has a very bad feeling. Something is about to happen. I said, okay. I took the bike. We went back to the farm. All of a sudden, we saw groups of Fulanis were eating up, and then there was a fire that was set to consume the farm. That was how fight started and fought, and today we carry all these marks. But if you ask me today, do I hate the Fulanis? I don't hate them. I don't hate the Fulanis. I see them as a victim of the Nigerian system. So what I'm proposing as a Pan-Africanist myself, I'm proposing a united, a strong, because Nigeria is beyond any ethnic group. Nigeria today, as it stands, is the beacon of hope for Black people all over the world. And DSA also made a point about Yoruba nations in Brazil. I see them speaking Yoruba, they are practicing Yoruba tradition. They want to come back to the motherland, they want to learn, they want to understand the system with our people. And this is where our people are missing. Political revolution, sociocultural revolution, and economic revolution. It's not enough to say, okay, let's just get our political independence, and then what else? Afterwards, we start having economic struggle, and then we start having sociocultural problems to handle. One of the most important sociocultural problems I want to talk to our people today to address is the excess, for example, in burial that we do. A friend wrote me recently and said, please, I need you to borrow me some money. I want to bury my father. He wanted to use 4.5 million to bury his naira, to bury his father in Nigeria. I say, okay, I can borrow you money, but except if you're going to use this money for a business and to bring return for you. You want to
round up.
His father. All right, okay. So my question to DSA, my question to this particular to DSA, after he has made this concrete point, what is the future if we refuse to reform our system as it is right now?
I appreciate Papa Ayo Adebanjo and Dr. Byron, and I was hearing everything they spoke about, and I want to appreciate them. Thank you so very much. Now, what you said, Mr. Magaji, is that if our people will not do socioeconomic transformation and economic transformation, like we spoke about, that what are the consequences? Number one, if we don't become economically independent and we go and just fight for independence or self-determination, let's say we become a Yoruba nation and we don't have economic independence, then what we are going to have is just going to be the same thing that they have in South Africa right now. The Black people are controlling the country, but the other people are really ruling over them. It's going to be the same mistake that Nigeria made. So it's going to be just like any of these African countries, Benin Republic, Togo. So that's why I was emphasizing empowering our people by knowledge, by renewing their mind, the mindset of our people, that we shouldn't just rush to just go and do self-determination. Let's change the content of character of our people first. Let's bring back the values of Omoluabi first to our people. If we are going to have solid people that are going to be able to be capable to build economy and do all that and other spheres of life, education and everything, then even within Nigeria, we will be the head and not the tail. Even within Nigeria, we will be able to lead other ethnic groups. So we will be at an advantage if we focus first in reorienting our people. But if we will just say, okay, just political self-determination without all those changes that we need to undertake, we will be at the mercy of these other African countries later on, even when we become Oduduwa Republic. So I just want to support the idea that yes, we need to just focus on educating our people, reorienting our people, send people to every village, every local government, every school, and mount a campaign of values, of direction, giving direction to our general populace, not just the little elite. Because the people who are talking right now that they want self-determination It's more about the elite that are and the youth that are disgruntled. But like Dr. Byron said, we need to be strategic in what we are doing. And right now, we shouldn't just be reactional. Let's build strategy first. And the first strategy and the most important thing should be to build up our people. And then once that happens, you would discover that other regions in Nigeria would like to say, no, you people come and teach us, or we want to be with you. And I agree with what Adelaja just said, because Nigeria has invested, the Yorubas have invested so much into Nigeria that I would rather say, let them leave Nigeria, but we are the ones going to be here because we have invested too much in Nigeria. Yes, that's my contribution.
2.5 million people displaced in IDP camp. All of them are from the northeastern part of Nigeria. They are currently in refugee camps, completely displaced. Some of them have even been killed, raped in the IDP camp. In 2014, we had series of bombing in the north. Kano, for example, Emir Sanusi narrowly escaped being killed in the Kano Central Mosque. I've been to that mosque. It's one of the biggest mosques in Nigeria, but it was bombed down by the Boko Harams. And he narrowly escaped from entering the mosque before the bomb exploded. And more than 200 people were injured, and 80 people died that day. We see series of the north being affected. So when I hear people use vocabulary like Fulanization, and the north not being affected, the north are affected, the houses are affected, the Fulanis are even suffering from cattle rustling. They are being killed, they're killing them every day. Every day you hear of this banditry. It's happening in the north. It's not just only in the west, but it's happening in such a large scale that a lot of people are being displaced. So I would like to hear what Baba thinks and what DSA have to say about this. Thank you.
Don't forget, all the things that is happening is not straight to us. She found out one Saudana that if you don't educate these young people, they will be your problem. That is what is happening there. If you don't know, you are young enough, don't know. That is what's happening. Now, when they started it is not where they started, they are now reaping it. Now they can't control it. That is what you people don't understand. You are just getting the result. How did it start? One. Now, the question of Fulanization we are talking about, you don't see what we are saying. That thing. Was there any arrest? Because you are telling me this there. Now, move down to Agatu. Now, move down to Makodi. And in Makodi, Autumn went to Buhari. These people who are attacking me, I know them. They are they wrote me a letter that they are responsible. Go and help me. They said they are the owner of my land.
Questionnaire wanted Dr. Sunday Adelaja to also respond to that. Anyway.
Okay, thank you so much. So to speak my own opinion about the question, I'm trying to contribute and say you are answering that question from Mr. Magaji. I think we have to be clear about the fact that Buhari is not going to be the president of Nigeria forever. He only has 2 more years to go. If I were a Yoruba or a Southern politician or activist, I would rather advise the political force in Southwest and South-South to go and right now be, doing their mechanization and maneuvering in, concerning the next election. If one way or the other, somebody else will take Buhari's place, and Buhari is not going to be there, so he's no more going to be a Fulani man there. So let's assume that Tinubu will be the next president. What I would do is to going to begin to talk to Tinubu right now and to his people who are going to be the next influence authority in the next power. So that we'll begin to now agree with Tinubu. If you want South-South to support you or Southwest to support you, these are the things we want. And we have to reach an agreement and sign a contract with him. So let's say we say, Tinubu, you want us to vote for you? We need you to review the Constitution. Give us a written document that you are going to review the Constitution. Or number one. Number two, we want you to restructure. Give us your own template, how you are going to do the restructuring. Or if it's not, if you see that Tinubu will not win, let's say somebody else from Southeast will win. Let's adopt that candidate and say, okay, Buhari was not able to cope with, he was not able to fulfill our desire in this question and in this question. Okay, will you agree with us to give us what you will you agree to what our demand before we could vote for you? So that's what I would rather focus on. Focus on the future and resolving the question with the future president, so to say.
Please continue and finish up. You have spoken and you have spoken well.
Thank you.
We are wrapping up now. Our two speakers in the house are still with us. They will just give us a roundup. Dr. Adelaja, you take the floor first.
Yes, thank you so very much. I absolutely, agree with the lady that spoke last, Mayowa, that we need to get our acts together first, not just rush out and say, okay, we are going, and then we are going nowhere, and things will still be worse than it is in Nigeria right now. So I think we should, first of all, prepare for the future. If there is going to be election next year, let's begin the political machinations by going to agree for people to bear the agenda of the Yorubas in mind. And so when the next president comes, so that they will fight for the agenda of the Yoruba people and for all of Nigeria. But personally, I believe that all the problems that Yorubas are facing today, other regions are also facing them. That maybe we need to change something in the constitution. I think so. Let's change the constitution and make it better for everybody, not just for Yorubas, but for everybody. If there is something that it needs to be improved in the constitution, let's do it. Let's go. Let's say somebody said speaking to Buhari now is like speaking to the wall. Good. Let's speak to the next government coming, and let's make sure that they bear that interest in mind. And let's work together for the good of all Nigeria. If the change of constitution will make all of Nigeria good for everybody. If the value system of Omoluabi will be good for the West, Southwest, and for all of Nigeria, let's bring it forward. And so that is where I would like to conclude. Let's just think of what to do to make our lives together as a people better. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sunday Adelaja.